being very, very unfair there. It's very, very hard to get a big audience on YouTube. You talk about the fact that how many people yesterday watched his live stream. I think it was about 6,000 people. That's in under 24 hours. There's a lot of highly educated people that do really, really good work, and they put a lot of effort into videos on YouTube, and they don't get that sort of audience. I mean, Censorship is the perfect example. Me and you both know Censorship. He's an extremely educated, well-spoken, articulate, talented person, and he doesn't have anywhere near the level of subscribers that Marco does. So I think, you've got to, even if you don't like the man, even if you think he's a crook and he's dishonest and he's, whatever you like, you've got to give credit where credit's due. And to get 86,000 subscribers onto your YouTube channel is a big effort. And to get 6,000 people watch a live within 24 hours, again, is a big, big effort. Is that not fair?
Well, I think he has some afterglow, so to speak, from his Primerica video. But again, it's not followers, it's not views, it's who's going to take action. You have a number of people, a large number of people taking action. Until you get to that point, it's all just talk.
Exactly, but Mark, there are some people, I don't know the numbers, and you don't know the numbers, and it's very hard to know how many people have taken action. But I've got no doubt there are people that have written letters to politicians about Primerica and other MLM corporations who would not have if he hadn't have done that. And the fact that Primerica are prepared to hire lawyers and spend big dollars legally to stop him, that to me says what he's doing is effective. I mean, quite simply to me, if you're an anti-MLMer and you're not being sued and you're not getting cease and desist letters, you're not doing a very good job. That to me is almost the best way to measure success in this game. Is the more cease and desist letters, the more legal action that's been taken against you, the better you're doing. That's how I would grade success. And the fact that the Amway Corporation took you on says to me that they were scared of what you had to say. And I don't blame them either, because they don't want people to know about the Amway Tool Scam. That's why they took you on legally. Do you agree with that?
Well, they didn't do a very good job, because the settlement allows me to talk about the Amway Tool Scam, the lack of retail sales, all those kinds of things. So they essentially lost the case, because the only thing they did were so minor, it really had no meaningful impact to my activities.
Yep.
Whereas Marco, now he doesn't even say the name of the companies that he did videos on anymore. He doesn't talk about them at all now, because he lost. And so it's important. The facts are important.
Well,
just the ability.
Marco's case is still pending. Yours is decided. Yeah.
What's that?
Your case has been decided legally. His case is still pending. So time's going to tell whether or not he will talk about Primerica again. But in the interim, his video is still on YouTube. Make no mistake about this, Primerica are not happy at the fact that video is still on YouTube. They've spent a lot of money to stop that video being viewed on YouTube, and it is still being viewed on YouTube. That is a huge win for Marco and the anti-MLM community, and it's a huge loss for Primerica. But time will tell. You're saying that he hasn't done a good job because he can't talk about them, but that's not decided yet. Time will tell. So
yeah, time will tell.
What about,
even though the video online, there's not a lot of people seeing it. So
yeah, one of the videos had 2,500 views. I mean, that's not nothing.
So good. People have to take action, Glenn. They can't just watch a video and say that's a great video. I like that guy. That does not get it done. You have to complain about the right stuff to everybody, the media, the FTC, the politicians. But until you do that, all you're doing is watching videos.
But you need to start somewhere. And Marco's video is a start. It's not the end. All right. So here we go. There's a channel, NAAIP. It's had 2,500 views. Pocket Watching with JT. I haven't seen this one. He's talking about that's had 26,000 views. There's heaps of them. It's been uploaded multiple times now. I think to my last count it was 7 or 8 times it's been re-uploaded. That's 7 or 8 different channels. So Primerica is losing this battle of stopping people from seeing it. We clearly disagree. You don't think that's a big win, but I think it's huge. And I think the key is that the next time they stop a YouTuber from having their video up, even if it's a small one, imagine if they stopped the small YouTuber and then all the big YouTubers got behind that YouTuber and said, nah, you're not going to censor that person. You blocked it, so now we're going to show it. And then more people saw it than what would have seen it in the beginning. That will mean that the MLM companies will stop this cease and desist letter business, stop suing, stop trying to censor, stop trying to block. And that would be a huge victory for the anti-MLM movement. So I really...
Well, as far as I can tell, no large YouTubers have replayed Marco's video. Now they might,
yep.
But so far, to my knowledge, nobody has. So,
yep.
From the standpoint that Primerica has shut down 90% of the viewers of that video, that's a victory for them.
Yep, you make a good point, Scott. Yep.
A partial victory, put it that way.
You make a very, very good point. And I'm urging every person that sees this, email all the big anti-MLM YouTubers and urge them to re-upload the video and show them the 7 or 8 that have already done it. Urge them to do it. Because if a couple of the big anti-MLMers can re-upload it, that will mean Primerica has lost this battle. And more people will see this video as a result of their censorship than if they hadn't censored it. So yeah, you're spot on, Scott. It's very, very disappointing that the big anti-MLMers have not re-uploaded this video. I've messaged them myself, and I'm very disappointed that they haven't. But because, you know what? It's only a matter of time until these big anti-MLMers get their next cease and desist letter, until one of their videos is blocked. So I think we need to get in a frame of mind where I'm gonna support anyone who has a video blocked. It doesn't matter whether you agree with their political beliefs, whether they like Donald Trump and you don't, or the other way around, whether you agree with everything they say about MLMs or you disagree, or even if you don't like them, if you flat out don't like them. If a person receives a cease and desist letter or has their video blocked, I'm going to support that person. Because MLM companies not being allowed to censor and block videos is more important than my like or dislike of a YouTube channel or a person. What do you make of that, Scott?
Well, I would consider the fact that if the big YouTubers are not willing to put that video up on their own channel, you have to think that maybe they're just a little bit smarter than Marco, and they have more to lose than Marco. They have a pretty good channel. It's bringing in pretty good money probably, and they don't want to give that up. So I don't blame them for not wanting to put that video up because they have a lot more to lose. Marco has nothing to lose, or he doesn't think he has anything to lose. He said that, I don't have each other. What do they get from me? Well, I don't know what the Canadian laws are, but I know in the United States, if somebody gets a judgment on you, they can also garnish future earnings. So, he doesn't have anything to lose today. Well, he could be in the poorhouse for the rest of his life, paying back money in a lawsuit. So again,
and you know what? That would make me respect him even more. The fact that he's prepared to risk to take down this immoral, unethical MLM company. And I think the reason why these anti-MLM YouTubers are not re-uploading it is because they don't understand the law. Now, I know for a fact that here in Australia, if something is leaked, they don't go after the leakers. They go after the first leaker. They don't go after the other leakers. There's going to be no legal consequences, I guarantee you, for anyone who re-uploads this video. There just quite simply isn't. They're fearing that Primerica will come after them, and they're not going to. The same as Network 21 did not go after the people that re-uploaded Welcome to Life. So I feel they're just not understanding the legal situation.
Well, keep in mind, in the United States in particular, anybody can sue anybody else for any reason or no reason at all. So even if there was no basis for to sue a big YouTuber, you could still sue them and cause them to have to spend a whole lot of money on lawyers. And so it's one of those things where just because you're right doesn't mean you're not going to pay for it.
Yep.
Big time. And so again, these people have a lot more to lose than Marco does, and I think they're actually smarter.
Okay.
I
think they lack courage, and I think they don't understand the law. You think they're smarter than Marco. All right, I'll ask you another question. Would you like for Marco's video to be seen more times as a result of the censorship than if it hadn't been censored at all? Would that make you happy, or would that... What are you hoping happens? Do you want millions of people to see this video, or do you want it to die? Do you want Primerica to win and to kill this video? Do you think it's that bad that you want it to be killed?
I frankly don't think it's a very good video, so I don't care if it gets a lot of views or no views. It doesn't matter.
But what would most please you? 4 million people seeing it, or it dying today? If it was to be removed from YouTube from every single channel today and never viewed again, or for 4 million people to see it, which would make you happier if you had to pick one?
I think it's immaterial.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at John Oliver's video on MLMers, it's been seen, 23, 24 million times? And what impact has that had? Pretty much zero.
If you have a look at the number of people in the Amway Corporation here in Australia, Amway, there's never ever been fewer IBOs today than what there is. So right now, Amway IBOs are down. They were at their peak in 1993. There was an unbelievable... I was talking with you about this earlier. 128,000 Amway IBOs in 1993. People like Marco on YouTube are killing Amway here in Australia. It's interesting, the Amway development. So 1993, they were at their peak. They then went into decline. Then in the early 2000s, they rebranded as Y2K because most people, even in the early 90s, even in the late early 2000s, knew that Amway was a scam. That's why they rebranded to Y2K. People joined the Amway Corporation in the early 2000s who wouldn't have if they had been told it's Amway. Because they were told it was Y2K, they joined. Then came YouTube, and since YouTube has been around, Amway in Australia has gone down again. Because it's harder now. It's harder to prospect people, to recruit people when you've got these YouTubers, because people type into their phone Amway, and the first thing that comes up are Anti Mlmers like Marco. People like Marco are making it harder for them to do business.
There's no doubt the internet's having an impact, but if we want to finish the job, then we have to get people to submit complaints. That's the bottom line.
I agree 100%. But not just the FTC, politicians as well. The politicians need to understand that if you're going to take money from these companies, there's going to be some blowback. People are going to lose respect for these politicians if they take money off MLM companies. Because up until this point, most people aren't aware that these politicians that they like and they vote for are taking money off these MLM companies that the people despise. There's people voting for politicians that have respect for certain politicians, and these people despise the MLM corporations, and the MLM corporations are giving these same politicians money. We need to make them aware of that, hey, this politician that you think's amazing, he's taking money from an MLM company.
Well, politicians take money from a lot of dirty players, not just MLMs.
None more dirty than the MLM companies. And one thing that was fantastic in Marco's video was the fact, and I'm actually going to, after I say this, I'm going to play it in the video. They showed the fact that MLM companies donate the highest percentage of their revenue to politicians than any other form of business. So the money that MLM companies are donating to politicians it's a higher percentage of revenue than any other business. And there's a reason for that, because they know that they need to be on side with the politicians, otherwise the politicians could close them down. So I think it's very, very important at that point. So I'm going to play that right now, that part.
Understand how Primerica specifically contributes to this political game is William Keep, professor of marketing from the College of New Jersey.
So the first slide I'm showing you here is the percentage of political contributions given by 3 MLM companies, Primerica, Amway, and Melaleuca, relative to 3 well-known leading companies in 3 major industries, Meta, Pfizer, and Goldman Sachs. These are leading firms, MLM companies, in an industry that constitutes less than 1% U.S. retail sales, disproportionately, I think, giving to political candidates and political parties. Here I've added in annual lobbying in these years. The biggest increase we see from the previous slide is with Primerica, clearly leading the MLM companies in terms of the increase due to lobbying.
The way I interpret these graphs is that the MLM companies have a much bigger interest in making sure the government is on their good side than even companies like Meta or Pfizer. Is that how you would interpret this?
Yeah, I agree with that. These are people who think about how they spend their money, and this is how they've decided to spend their money year after year. So they must be getting something that they like as a result.
I know what your mom said. Your mom